Hey, this is Captain Paul Brawley with Fish Finder Guide Service. Welcome to this week's edition of Texas Fishing Tips. Man, oh man, the summer sure is coming on, and we're starting to get a lot of really warm days. For us that are not snowbirds, well, I like the summer, so I'm kind of happy about it. My wife, on the other hand, does not like the hot summer, so she's not as happy about it. But anyway, welcome to this week's edition and welcome to summer. It's not quite summer, but it's close enough for me. We're going to come over here and start looking on the back side, the east shoreline of the meadows back in here. We're going to be getting up as high as we can on this sand, as far as our trolling motors will take us, and we're going to be trying to throw some cut bait all through there. We're going to be trying to use cut skipjack, cut mullet, sardines, shad, any type of meat, cut perch, and we're going to be looking for redfish, trolling that as far shallow as we can get to the east with our boats. I'm not saying run up there and shut down and get stuck. I'm saying start in the deeper water and troll as far as you can possibly troll. Power pole down, and let's start throwing back up in this shallower water back here, throwing cut bait out there, and let's pick up some reds. There's been quite a few reds back there. Anytime I'm red fishing with cut bait, I'm of course free lining. I'm using like a number 6 Kel hook. To my braided line, I am tying a uni to uni knot, maybe like a 30-pound leader, and just kind of getting it out there as far as I can possibly get it from my boat. I'm using open face spinning reels where I can really honk those things, get them away. I'm also crushing up a couple of the sardines or whatever bait I'm using and trying to get me a slick or a chum line out there, and I'm trying to get that where you can make enough smell in the water to start bringing the redfish to your boat. On the other hand, a little bit farther out, right off the drop, midday, we're going to start looking for those trout to show up, and we're going to be using croakers out here off the drop with a number 6 Kel hook, free lined, and we're just going to be bumping. There is a good pot of trout coming up from the land cut right now, and so they're starting to fill into all these areas. So you will find some spots where you can catch quite a few trout in a row. They're not all going to be keepers. You're going to catch some little ones. You're going to catch some that are too big, but you're looking for that 15 to 20 inch class trout. And that area right there seems to be holding them. So once again, recap, we're looking for reds way back here as high as we can go on this sand, and we're looking for trout right out here on this drop. I haven't seen the black drum show up in here yet, but I'm expecting all these black drums to start showing up anytime. But right now we're just concentrating on reds and speckled trout in that particular area. Okay, like we talked about before, there's a lot of trout moving up out of the land cut right now, so we're going to go ahead and start our efforts again, just kind of like last year, all through the wall of rocks, this flat right here. There are some rocks right around this area, right off the intercoastal, but most of it is clear. About midway of the Long Island, you can jump the bar and get in here. I've been jumping the bar, turning the boat off immediately, waiting a couple of minutes and throwing out my first set of croakers. And then I'm kind of, while people were fishing with those, I'm kind of looking left and right through here and seeing where I'm seeing the most bait activity. I'll stick my trolling motor down. I'll stay tighter to the intercoastal, troll up, and then turn my boat and start fishing with those croakers again. Once I find the line that I'd like where the trout are, I'll work about at 50-yard increments at a time. I'll put my power pole down, catch as many trout that'll bite, and then I pick it up and move towards, the whole time I'm moving towards the wall of rocks out here. And I'm just trying to make a set of stops, like start 1 stop, 2 stops, 3 stops, 4 stops, 5 stops, and hopefully by the time I get to the wall of rocks, I'll have my limit of trout for whoever's on the boat. We are catching trout now that are 15 to 20 inches. Anything over 20 needs to be released. Anything under 15 needs to be released. You can catch 1 trout over 30 per day right now. I believe that when the new licenses come out, they will go to a tagging system where you get 1 trout over 30 a year. But once you get your trout in that area, you're going to pull out some corks and shrimp and start working this wall of rocks right here. And you're looking for black drum and redfish on the wall of rocks. Always be careful. There's many scattered rocks that are still in this area. It's not as bad as the Badlands out here, but in this area there are some scattered rocks. There's a little stick out here in the middle where there's a pile of rocks. Like I mentioned before, there's a pile of rocks somewhere right in here, right off the intercoastal. But most of the rest of that's pretty clear, except for the wall of rocks. The wall of rocks is it's nothing but a wall of rocks. So you can get that out here. Let's look out here on this point too, this very point of the wall of rocks. Both sides of it can hold redfish, can hold trout, can hold black drum. So you're going to be looking out there with your corks also. That area right there should hold some trout, as well as straight across the point of Penascal, all of this, Pinnacle Point, whatever you guys want to call it. But that whole area right there also is holding trout right now on your croakers, and reds up shallower on the rocks. I haven't really seen the school of black drums there yet. I'm sure they'll show up soon. The ones that stay almost all summer, those should be there real soon. Anyway, that little area there those two areas there should help you to get some boxes of fish together. All right, I'm talking to my guys that have the casting platforms, the towers, any type of raised console where you can stand up on your burn bar or whatever. We're going to be looking at sight casting some reds and drums all right through here. This area right now is holding some redfish with this higher tides that we've been having. Be some black drums closer to the edges out here. But if you when you come into Yarborough, if you come down and then cut across, and then it's making these drifts all across this whole thing. They're, good 30, 40-minute drifts, and then coming back around and making your next set of drifts. We're kind of just drifting all through here and standing up high, and just taking our time using lures, and we're just trying to find redfish that are kind of out there milling or floating. There'll be little 2-packs of reds, single reds, sometimes 3 or 4 reds. Sometimes you'll run into a pretty good pod, 15 or 20 reds. But we're just floating through there, sight casting redfish right now. I'm using darker colored lures. Of course, almost always use like a purple with a green tail, a black with a green tail. Your morning glories, your plums, strawberries, any type of a darker color. You can use electric chicken. I don't really like brighter colors in that area, but you could try glow with the green tail if you're not getting responses, maybe some pinks. But all through there seems to have a few reds on those flats right now, and they're nice and easy to sight cast. You just have to kind of go through there and be very patient. Most anybody who sight casts already kind of knows the program, so they're just knowing they're floating until they see them, and they're making some cast and hopefully being successful. That area right there is holding them. I would be looking at the backsides of all of these islands, all your broken spoils on the backside of Yarborough with corks and shrimp, kind of looking to pick up some of the remaining trout that are still coming out of the land cut. They kind of fill in behind all these, and we're just kind of working them with shrimp and corks, trying to pick up as many trout. You will pick up an occasional sheephead, an occasional drum, an occasional red, but mainly concentrating in that area looking for speckled trout. As far as across the way onto Rocky Slough, I haven't really fished it that much, but you should be getting your little pods of drums showing up on the outside of the rocks, as well as using the same method, the shrimp and corks, going through here, trying to pick off any remaining trout you need, or just kind of looking for trout all through there. Once again, be careful anytime you're in any of these areas, whether it be Rocky Slough or behind the spoils of Yarborough. There's a lot of rocks out there, and just make sure you're keeping your eye on your GPS when you're making your runs. And then, as you're floating up towards the backs of all this, make sure that you're taking a real easy approach as you're leaving, as you're coming to them, all that type stuff. You just want to be careful out there. There's quite a few rocks in those two areas that I've indicated. Anyway, that's it for this week's edition of Texas Fishing Tips. I hope you guys catch a lot of fish. Try to be nice to each other, and we'll catch you next time.